Today, I'm going to talk about the Iran nuclear deal, officially called the JCPOA, and how it has affected life in Iran both politically and economically from 2015 until now. First, let me give you a quick preview of what we'll cover between 2015 and 2018. The deal was signed and implemented, which led to eased sanctions and a wave of optimism among many Iranians. From 2018 to 2023, the United States withdrew from the agreement, sanctions came back roaring, and Iran's economy took a serious hit. Finally, in the period from 2023 to 2025, Iran has ramped up its nuclear program, regional tensions have flared, and there have been major changes in leadership. Back in July of 2015, Iran limited its nuclear activities by cutting uranium enrichment levels and allowing international inspectors in exchange for the lifting of long-standing economic sanctions. Overnight, more than $100 billion in frozen assets were unlocked, and oil exports surged to around 2.5 million barrels per day. Iran's GDP grew by about 12%. Foreign companies rushed back in, and for the first time in years, many young people and members of the middle class felt real hope that the country was opening up. President Hassan Rouhani, who had campaigned on achieving this ideal, became quite popular, yet some headliners within Iran's government warned that the West could not be trusted to stick to its promises. Everything began to change on May 8, 2018, when President Donald Trump announced the United States would withdraw from the nuclear deal, calling it the worst agreement ever. Over the next few months, harsh sanctions were reimposed on Iran's oil, banking, and shipping sectors. By late 2018, oil exports had fallen to under 300,000 barrels a day. Inflation soared past 40%. The Iranian rial was composed in value, and basic necessities like gasoline became extremely expensive. These pressures sparked widespread protests in Tehran and other major cities in 2019. The government used force to suppress them. The Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps tightened its grip on power. In early 2020, the situation escalated further when the United States assassinated General Qasem Soleimani in Bangladesh. In response, Iran increased its uranium enrichment levels well beyond the original deal's limits, reaching 5% and then jumping up to 20% while the economy continued to shrink. Unemployment rose and Iranians struggled to find jobs. Politically, the moderate camp lost influence, and in June 2021, hardliner Ebrahim Raisi was elected president. Iran then pivoted towards China and Russia for economic and military cooperation, seeking to bypass the US pressure. Fast forward to today, and the JCPOA framework is effectively dead. Iran is enriching uranium to around 60%, approaching weapons-grade levels. After the outbreak of Israel-Humans conflict in October 2023, Iran-backed militaries in Gaza and Lebanon directly clashed with Israel forces. On April 1st, 2024, Israel carried out strikes against senior IRGC commanders in Syria. In retaliation, Iran launched a major drone and missile attack on northern Israel, marking the first direct state-to-state confrontation in decades. Then, on May 19th, 2024, President Raisi died in a helicopter crash, creating a sudden leadership vacuum. The economy remains under severe sanctions. Inflation is now above 50%, and fuel rationing along with the black market sales have become the norm. The IRGC's influence continues to grow, controlling both security and large segments of the economy. Looking at these events from a spice perspective allows us to understand the border impact. Socially, Iranians first experienced newfound freedoms and optimism, which gave way to harsh crackdowns and widespread discontent, and today face strict censorship and deep inequality. Politically, moderates led the early diplomatic efforts but lost ground to headliners after sanctions returned, and now the supreme leader and IRGC hold the reins. In terms of interaction with the environment, the focus shifted from rebuilding oil industries and attacking foreign investment to naval confrontation in the Strait of Hormuz and proxy wars across the Middle East. Culturally, a belief resistance of aristocratic and academic exchange was replaced by state controlled media and underground movements. Economically, a quick post deal rebound turned into a prolonged recession, forcing Iran into unofficial oil sales and barter agreements with China and Russia. Two key moments stand out in the story: the US withdrawal on May 8, 2018, which plunged Iran into economic crisis and shattered trust in diplomacy, and President Raisi's death on May 19, 2024, which opened up uncertainty about the country's political future and nuclear direction. Throughout all of this, Iran's core goal, establishing a nuclear deterrent, has remained unchanged. What has shifted dramatically in Iran's relationship with the world, swinging from cautious cooperation to defiance. Ultimately, the history of Iran's nuclear deal teaches us that international agreements can spark genuine hope and progress, but require lasting commitment and mutual trust to hold. Understanding this event matters because it reminds us as global citizens that breaking promises comes at a real cost to people's lives and livelihoods. Thank you for listening.